Welcome in, everybody, to ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown. Another special episode here. 2018 National Sprint Car Hall of Fame inductee Lance Dewease is joining me. Getting ready to talk about the upcoming season, just around the corner, and kind of tell everybody about your racing career, Lance. So I appreciate you joining me. Again, I know you got a lot going on, and getting ready for the season. I know you've just had a pretty busy off season, especially with Cole in Florida racing and everything. So, let's start kind of from the beginning. I know you obviously started with micro sprints when you were a teenager back in the 80s, but kind of what wanted you to get into racing and all that stuff?
Well, I grew up around racing. My dad and his brothers owned back then what they called late models. They were like 55, 56, 57 Chevys. They raced at Hagerstown, Jennerstown. They were track champions at Jennerstown with the guy that drove. So I grew up, I was 6 months old, being babysitting grandstands at Hagerstown. So I grew up at a racetrack. And they kind of I was still young and little when they got out of racing, but we were just out running around one day, and we used to camp up at Lake Raystown, and it was raining, so me and my dad went for a ride and came upon a micro racetrack and came upon the guy that built the cars, and a year later I was racing. It kind of just happened.
Well, that's cool. I mean, what kind of so started off with that, and you just, I guess, slowly got into the bigger, faster, more badass cars, I guess you could say, and then kind of got some better opportunities.
Well, back then, we raced 270 micros, which were two strokes, and they were a pain in the butt to work on. The engines were very unreliable. They either ran at the beginning or didn't, and then if they ran at the beginning, they normally burned up at the end. They were air cooled at the time, so they were touchy. We just kind of had enough of that. So we always built street cars, V8s and stuff. So we figured we'd move up, want to try something different. Well, back then there was only two classes. It was sprint cars and super sportsmen. Mm-hmm. Well, the super sportsmen got like 80 cars a night at Silver Springs. So we decided to go sprint car racing, and that's just kind of how it started.
Everybody knows how all of your successes and everything, especially going through the 90s and 2000s. You talk about all your successes recently too, just getting up and running for Donnie. I swear, you seems like you're getting better every year. Even years you're not even planning on running for a track championship, you win a damn track championship in 2021. So through the 90s, I know a lot of people will remember the 461 that you won a lot of races for. What got you that opportunity? I think you raced for Weikert at some point, and then
the Weikert thing was a one-off race. I ran my own stuff up to the 1990. Mm-hmm. I would team up with people. I teamed up with a guy that was Joe Templer, and it was like half my stuff, half his stuff. We raced. We won some races. And we got to be around Walter Dyer a little bit, and a guy that helped me for a long time. Kind of was on Bud Walter Dyer to give me opportunity, and finally we kind of put a deal together to go race. And as we put that deal was already in place, but we didn't have a second car ready built for me. Joe Allen was still his driver at that time, and they were putting a second car together for me. So we weren't quite finishing up with that. And another friend of mine was on Weikert to give me a ride, give me a shot. So he put this deal together for me to run Weikert's car at Port Royal one night, which I did, and I won in that. But I was already going to the Dyer ride. We just didn't have the other car ready. And so I won 1 week in the Weikert car, then next week out in the Dyer car, I won in it too at Port. So I probably have the best average in Weikert's car ever. I'm batting 1,000 right now. So
hey, there you go. Hey, you don't need to mess with that either. Just
no.
Well, I just really want to fast forward. So it seemed like you were kind of doing a little less racing going into like 2014, 2015. You're racing some, but then all of a sudden opportunity comes with Donnie. Obviously he had that wreck and that injury. He can't go forward. My grandpa told me a little bit about how all that kind of transpired, but like kind of what was your perspective? How
Yeah,
did that come about? Did you reach out to Donnie? Donnie call you?
yeah.
I mean, it's
I
worked
reached
out.
out to him. I kind of was, a lot of people don't realize I shattered my neck in 2011, I think it was now.
Oh wow.
So I basically was a millimeter from never walking again.
Was that
So,
a racing incident or something
yes,
off track?
yeah, it was Lincoln Speedway. It really wasn't that bad wreck. It's just how I hit and
Uh-huh.
just it shattered my C6. So that was on a Saturday night at Lincoln.
Okay.
I had emergency surgery done Sunday morning, got that fixed. Then I still raced after that a little bit, but my wife kind of was on me to kind of cut back or, maybe even retire. And, we just got done with a stint with the 14 car Dietz Motorsports, super great family, super nice family. And they kind of were getting out of racing. So I really didn't have nothing else kind of that I was interested in. And we kind of were talking about maybe just, retiring maybe at that time. And my mom said about, Donnie was hunting a driver supposedly, and I knew of his health issues, and I really didn't know what he was, was he hunting to try to find a young driver to put in it, what he was doing. I hauled about it for a day or so after she told me, it was out in the, Ariata or somewhere, she read it. And I decided to call him. So I called him, and I think it took us like 5 minutes to put the deal together. And you had to get approval from your dad real quick, but he didn't think that was going to be a big issue. I mean, sorry, your grandfather, a big issue. So
you wouldn't have had an issue with either one of them. So
yeah, yeah. So that
what
it
motivated you
got
to
done
really?
pretty.
Sorry, what motivated you want to really go back to racing a lot more races? I mean, obviously that scare you're talking about retirement. I mean, what kind of wanted you to propel into kind of not a full-time schedule, but I mean a pretty hefty schedule still?
Well, I still was like the 14 car that I was driving at that time, and they were getting out of it. We still probably ran 80 races a year, so I was still doing it as a full-time schedule, basically.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We didn't, do like we didn't necessarily do Florida. We didn't do some traveling stuff, but we still raced a lot. And so when I talked to Donald, he said about 40 race schedule or so, which kind of suited me. I was getting burned out. I was wearing out from it. You probably know as well as anything about being burned out from what your job is. That
I get it.
Cutting back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
And you kind of find a new form of fun and more passion, I guess, and how much each race will mean if you cut back that much.
Yeah, well, I mean, we two things. Cutting back meant I wasn't burned out when I got to the racetrack. At my age, even then, it helped me recoup. I could recover a little quicker.
Yep.
I wasn't so drained, and it's more, kind of like your job. It's probably more mentally burned out than physical.
That's a lot of things. I mean, that's a lot of sports, really.
Yeah, and it kind of re-energized me, and being around your grandpa and Donald, and just their heart and soul that they put into it, and just how good we were right off the bat. That it became fun again, and I was having a lot of fun. I still am having a lot of fun, and so it kind of revitalized me, and I really enjoy how we race. So it just it's just been going on, and it's been fun so far.
Well, and now you're able to even focus on the other things like Cole, your son, racing now. He raced down in Florida. You're able to go see all that and not have to worry about a whole full-time schedule. You're able to see some of his races now and see how he progresses through his career and everything.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get away. I thought I was going to get away from him being involved in racing. He really wasn't showing no interest in it until like 2 years ago. Then it blew up, and so the funny thing about it, he physically has 138 races this year he could race.
Dang.
So plus my 40 some. So it's I thought I was cutting back. I am cutting back on my end, but not his end. So.
It might be more mentally draining watching him race than you actually behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's not bad. I can handle it pretty good. It's not easy with my wife, but I can handle it pretty good.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. So let's just kind of just dive into this year. First of all, you're racing in here in a couple days at Port. I just saw Port just sent out that the test and tune was canceled Saturday. Were you guys even going to the test and tune to do that?
Yes, we were going to that.
Okay.
So now they're going to try to race on Sunday. That'll be their opener.
Does that really affect you guys as much success as you had at Port, or I mean, is you just kind of just go with the flow and then you're run the hot laps and see how it goes?
I don't think it's going to affect us a whole lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, opening day, the track will probably be pretty fast. We're probably going to get rain tomorrow into maybe Saturday some. That's the reason they canceled it. So it's probably going to be pretty fast. But yeah, we're going to get thrown a curveball here for the following weekend with the new tires, and nobody's been on them yet, other than I think Shots did the tire test. So that's going to throw everybody a curveball. Hopefully it don't hurt us as much as maybe somebody else.
So kind of talk about that tire. I mean, I have a kind of a general idea of what they're running, but people that don't really know. So what's that tire compound that they're bringing in the outlaw races this year?
I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with it. From my understanding, I think it's trying to unhook the race cars some more.
Mm-hmm.
They brought a little bit softer left rear. I'm not sure about the right rear. I think it's a little smaller. From my understanding, we can flip it.
Okay.
It's the same groove pattern both ways, so people could flip them if they want and run them backwards. That they're not no camber in them or anything like that. So I think they're. The sad part about none of us really know a whole lot about it. It kind of was a hush hush deal. Then all of a sudden it was announced, and it kind of caught. I think it caught a lot of people off guard. Nobody really heard rumors of it coming or anything. Except for maybe the Outlaws knew, but no local people really knew that I know of. So,
well,
I think they're trying to.
The Outlaws have a little bit of knowledge on them, a little bit of a head start. So it seemed like they done before. They have a little bit of a head start on people. Do you guys get any chance to test those out before the Outlaw show, or you have to just test that once the Outlaws?
Nobody is. There's not a single Outlaw team has them yet. Nobody has them yet.
Huh.
We'll be able to get them Wednesday. That's the earliest anybody can get them.
Okay.
So we'll get them Wednesday, just so we can get them out at Donald. As you know, Donald's really into being prepared, especially on the tire end of it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand.
Have everything sized up, ready to roll. Originally they were acting like we're going to have to get him at the track and do it. He would have been, nuts. But now we can get him. The teams, any team, outlaw teams or whatever, can go get them on Wednesday and Thursday and have them ready before the race on Friday and Saturday next week.
Okay. How many sets are they giving each team? Is it
they're giving us? I think we're allowed 6 right rears and 8 left rears to start with.
Okay.
Until this weekend's over. Then I'm not sure what we're allowed, but then supposedly after that, after they leave our area, I think it's wide open.
Are you allowed to race with those tires in the meantime after the Outlaws, just on some regular shows, or that's a no?
Yes. I think we're allowed to race, but they're only giving the locals 4 races to use up the old stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's really not going over well with a lot of teams because
surprise.
Some teams have tires. Like Brent Marks announced earlier that he wasn't racing this weekend because he done used up all of his old tires. And he's not buying no more.
Yeah.
So some teams have tires to use, and if Sunday gets canceled and another show gets canceled after the Outlaws, that counts as far as I know, counts into the 4. So it kind of puts I don't understand why they're trying to limit it that short of a time period. you know, I understand Hoosier's standpoint because they're pushing this new tire in and don't want to be making the other stuff.
Of course, yeah.
But as far as racetrack, unless there's a huge difference between the two tires, and nobody truly knows if it's going to be or not until we start
We
racing.
won't really know until hot laps. I mean,
yeah. Even with even with whoever did the tire test, that's
still not going to be enough. I mean,
you still don't know what it's like in race conditions. So it'll be interesting. But I think most people, most people are going to run the new stuff anyhow once the season starts, unless they have some used stuff, the older stuff to use up. But it just, I mean, I know Donald has some leftover stuff. A lot of teams have some leftover stuff. Yeah, I would like to see them give them a little bit longer time frame to use that up.
Yeah. So before we dive into a little bit of stuff going on in the season, since your career started, I'm not going to put your age on it. So just back in the day. Since your career back then and up to now, like during your off-season time, has there been a difference on how you approach a season and how you prepare for a season? Because now you have the introduction of simulation racing through iRacing, and I think you've dabbled into it a little bit.
Yeah, I've raced some. But...
So I mean, what have you seen like in the difference in the progression of preparing for a season? I guess the modernization for it, and kind of what do you do, or you kind of done about the same thing?
I've done about the same thing.
Okay.
iRacing don't help me prepare for racing.
Yeah.
Actually, it's probably been a year since I did iRacing.
Yeah.
I got tired of getting my butt kicked by my son and his friends. So I don't have no feel. It's all visual to them. I can't drive that way. I need a feel, and it don't give me a feel. So, but it's a good learning curve. Like I honestly think I was blown away by my son when he started racing because he looks like he's raced, and that had to come from iRacing. I mean, he's pretty darn good on iRacing, and I think that just had to come from it. The visual, he didn't have that feel, but he had to look of what he should do. Exactly. So I think it's a lot of that comes from that, and also being around it. But it's the twofold part on both that. But for me, it's just I tend to watch. I've always been watching videos from the day that they started broadcasting stuff. I mean, I wish we would have had this when I first started, because it would have been, you could learn so much more from a driving point, where you need to get better, or areas that maybe you can improve in. Or
so it's almost like film, like what other sports will watch film on everything.
Yes. You see what the tendency of other people are that you race against. It's just, how the track changes. You might, even with all my years experience, you sit there and I rewatch something at the Grove, and I'm like, man, I should have realized I needed to move back down. I mean, you just knew it was slowed up too much, and I didn't move down until it was too late. Or even Port Royal, stuff like that. You just see so much, and you can learn so much, even if it's not shown yourself. You can watch the other stuff of people racing and learn what the track likes, and learn how the competition races.
Well, when obviously Outlaw's coming into town next week, are you watching some of their stuff? I mean, it's easy to access anymore. So are you diving into some of their stuff that they're racing from Volusia this year? And are you going back to last year's stuff, or are you mainly going to rewatch what's coming this Sunday to get prepared for it?
I mainly rewatch like Port Royal. We watch Port Royal. I might rewatch opening day last year at Port Royal. I don't remember the race a whole lot, so I might rewatch that and see what the track kind of was like.
The similar conditions and everything.
Yeah, because like everything else, like the end of year stuff would be different than what we're going to be on.
Yeah.
Volusia County, we watch all the Outlaw shows anyhow when we're not racing, so we get to see all anyhow. But Volusia County's kind of its own beast.
Yeah.
It's pretty fast racetrack, and but yeah, you kind of pay attention who's going good, who's not going good. Just no different. Them guys do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for people that, well, no one can see my screen right now, but people that don't know, for Port Royal, number 1 on the all-time win list is Keith Kaufman, 129. Second place is Lance Dewease at 121 wins. You think you could pass him this year?
I'm not saying you can't, but that's tough.
It's just crazy because third place is Todd Schaefer, and you're like 30 wins over that, which it's just incredible. I mean, these are some great race car drivers on here, and 129 for a while, as I'm dropping everything. 129 for a while looked impossible to get, and now it's definitely within reach.
It's within reach. It's not undoable, but realistically, it's hard to do that many in 1 year, considering we don't race enough. Yeah, we would have to win probably, if I had to guess, I don't know the amount of race in Port Royal this year, but probably would have to win 50% of our races, if I had to guess, or more. Not sure. Exactly.
There's about 15, 16 races at Port Royal racing this year.
So how many am I behind?
You're 8 to tie and then 9 to pass.
So I need to be more than 50% win rate at Port Royal.
It's not
undoable, but that's pretty. Yeah, you have to be realistic. Do
you think about these type of things at the end of the day? Like, damn, like I'm way up here on this historic track, and you're the all-time win leader at Williams Grove by a mile and just still counting. So is that something you really think about, or is it just kind of
well, the Port Royal deal we never really thought about until I got hooked up with Donald and your grandpa, and we got into that 110 range, in the teen range, and we're like, it's doable. It's not, don't know if I'll race that long to do it or not. Don't know if they race that long to do it or not. But it is doable. Williams Grove was the other side. When I got to 70 some wins at Williams Grove, the 100 number was a goal of mine then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a legit goal that I could reach. And we've been fortunate enough to reach it and go past it now. So that was out there. That was one I kind of wanted. The 100, being the all-time winner, passing Fred Raymer for the all-time win wasn't as much of a goal for me as that 100 number. That 100 number meant something to me.
Nobody's been there. Nobody's been there.
Yeah, it's something nobody's been to. Not saying nobody will ever break it, but it's going to be a number that somebody's going to have to work hard on to do. And
that's
So,
that's for sure.
In the Williams Grove things, I've always thought Williams Grove was a very hard racetrack to win at. So those win totals, that win number means a little bit more to me than probably if I would break Kaufman's record Port. That's great, but I still think the Grove number still means a little bit more to me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously both such historic racetracks, but yeah, what you're saying, Williams Grove, it's a different beast every single race you race at. You don't know what you're getting, and you don't just, I don't say you don't just go and win there. There is probably 1 or 2 drivers that can go into Williams Grove and win just like that and never raced there before. And he's raced you, and he might drive a number 57 white sprint car that comes in town every now and then.
But it took him a while to learn to win there. It took him a while to learn to win there.
Sure.
It is a very hard place to show up and win without ever being there.
Exactly.
Probably the most impressive stat of anybody on the all-time win list is Steve Kinser. Because I don't know where he's at now on the list, but I think he has 40-some career wins there.
Yeah.
He's in the top 10.
I'll get you the exact number here. Hold on.
Yeah. Or is it 30-some?
39.
And he's in the top 10 in the all-time win list.
Yeah, I mean that, and for people that don't know, the Outlaws come there a couple times a year. They don't race there every week.
Yeah. So. I mean, the 1 year he was our leading feature winner at Williams Grove because he won all 6 shows that they showed up at. So, yeah. I mean, to me, his name on that list is impressive heck to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, that the National Open last year, how special was that win to you in your career? I mean, that's pretty awesome. And
It was
then
really
obviously
special.
that ended up propelling you to go to the world finals down here. But I mean that anytime you win a national open, that's one of the most impressive things you can do. So winning at obviously this stage in your career, that had to have been very special.
You just said the key word, winning at this stage in my career. I don't know, if I'll ever win another one before I'm done. I like to think we'll do our best at put us in the right position to be there, which we've done that. I've done that my whole career at Williams Grove. Our record at the Grove National is pretty stout. So, but just at that stage of my life and the age I'm at, to win that race and win it on a racetrack that's not quote our forte really meant something to me, and just doing it for Donald and your grandpa Davey, because it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I just it's hard not to give it your all when you just watch how hard he works at it, and it's just at 90 years old.
Don't put him that. Don't give him extra age. He's not even 89 yet.
He's gonna be 90. He's got a couple months, right?
No, he'll be 89. Don't give him the big 90
Sure?
yet.
Are you
1934.
sure? Okay, all right. I won't argue with you. You rattle that off really
Hey,
quick.
don't. Hey, and if you tell him, he'll be like, don't give me extra age. I ain't there yet.
But hey, me and you both at 89, if we can do what he's doing, we would be happy as heck. I
That's all
guarantee
he's
it.
ever known. And he said this for 30 years. I don't know if I'll retire. He ain't gonna retire.
That's every year he says that.
He said that for 30 years now. So
I mean, what's he gonna do? Sit at home? You know what I mean?
He has nothing else. I mean, this is all he does. He's
No.
got such a passion for it. And then obviously, and when I talked to him on the last the one interview I had with him, he's just like, yeah, it was a no-brainer. He's like, yeah, last one's come on. Yeah, that's fine. So I mean, he's in this stage of his career, he's influenced a lot of people. And obviously you were talking about coming to the team that he wrenches. That's a pretty big statement on what he's done in his career, having a Hall of Famer come to. Well, you weren't a Hall of Famer at that time, which, I mean, what took you so long? Come on.
Yeah.
But
age. I wasn't old enough yet.
But I mean, yeah, it's definitely impressive what he's done. It's impressive what all of you guys have been doing. I don't think we could have, like my family and all the fans, I don't think anybody can imagine how much success all of you guys could have had. And what a lot of people don't realize, this isn't everybody's full-time job on that team. And it's a small team. You don't have the $5 million hauler that's taking you guys to the tracks and everything. And that's what I think a lot of people, especially in that Pennsylvania area, appreciate, that you're not there throwing all the money and say, hey, look at me, and showboating and everything. You're just going out there and just doing your thing. And you've always done that. And I just think that makes it a lot more special, especially for the people watching it.
Well, you have two things. Donald gets a lot of credit for owning his own team for how long he has. Yep. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of people in the sprint car industry that could say they've done that and been really competitive doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a no-brainer when I talked to him, because I know how fast that car was, because I raced against it my whole career. So
yeah.
I knew how fast the car could be and was. So it just, I joke with him, I wish he'd have got hurt like 10 years sooner. I mean, so maybe we could have got together a little sooner. I mean, but no, and I tell you, but your dad rightfully gets a lot of credit, deserves a lot of credit. But people forget how hard Donald works at this and how smart he is with this, and just the whole combination of all three of us with our experience. There's nothing none of us have not seen in this industry racing wise, so we're not shocked. We're not. When something don't go right or something goes weird, we've probably seen it. So we don't overreact to stuff, and we race the smart, right way for our race team, and that's a limited schedule to keep everybody fresh and happy.
Oh, well, that's got to piss off the young drivers too. Like, oh, we're getting beat by these old guys right here. What the hell? We can't get anything done.
Hey, we take pride in that. I take pride in that. I mean,
yeah, that's great. And I touched on it a little bit ago, and we kind of talked about it when you were down here. But just coming down for the World Finals, it's not a usual track, especially that that Donnie and that whole team comes down for. And you've raced it some before. And I kind of know this answer, but what brought you guys to that decision to come down to Charlotte, race there? And obviously, and you had a very solid run there and very respectable finish.
Well, they jokingly, I don't know if I think it was Cassie, maybe, I'm not sure who it was, jokingly said if we win the Grove National, we would go to Charlotte. We go to Charlotte every year if it was up to me. I love Charlotte. I ran really good there. I thought we were pretty good. We just had a little misfortune on qualifying, but I thought we had a really good race car both nights. And it's just tough, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and who knows, maybe we'll go back again this year.
I think you should, and I'm trying to talk my grandpa into coming down too. Maybe that'll be an extra good luck charm if he comes down for that. So looking forward on this season and everything, everybody sees the schedule come out, and I brought this over here for a good reason, because everybody was shocked when this came out. Eldora coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know the million was probably a big draw too, but you got the Knoxville Nationals also with their big purse every year. What really got, besides the million, you can't answer with just the million. What really drew you guys to go to Eldora? And you're obviously racing a few races there, because Eldora is tricky, and everybody knows about that. But what kind of led to that decision, again, besides the million, to do all that?
Well, we actually been throwing around each year a little about going out for them, especially how they do that 4 race deal in a row now. It's a little easier, for us to go out and run those 4 races, and and that's it. We actually had rooms booked before the million was ever announced. Just
there you go. Okay.
We were thinking about it already. Now we also heard rumors that they were going to have something big. We didn't know what, and nobody knew what, but something big. But
this is big.
The one year when we went to Knoxville, the year after that, we thought about going to Eldora, and just we play it, as well as me, Zach. We kind of play everything by ear. Depends on how the year is going. Depends on how your grandpa's doing. Just how everybody's feeling. How Darnold, and this is an area that nobody really discusses or even thinks about with our team, is Darnold's health.
Yeah.
He has his good days and bad days. And,
right.
And I've told him from day one, he calls me up Sunday morning and says, I'm not going to race Port Royal Opener. I would say, okay, let me know where he want to race again. You know what I mean? I've said from day one, if he wants to go race somewhere, we'll go race. If he don't want to go race, we don't go race. Yeah. It's not, to me, it's not that big a deal either way. So, a lot of people forget about Darnold's health with his concussion issues, and
exactly,
he has his good days and bad days. And, sometimes at the track, he warns me he's not having a good day, and so, there's a lot of stuff that plays into if we travel or don't travel, go race somewhere. And, we could plan everything out and get a day before we leave and say, we're not doing this, or we'll be there. We plan on trying to hit some of the shows ahead of time, because it's been a long time since either of us have been to Eldora.
Yeah.
So, it's, I do think, based off of, you mentioned his name about Williams Grove, he thought our car will roll around Eldora better than Knoxville. And that's Larson when we talked.
Yeah.
He thinks our car would roll around, better at Eldora than Knoxville. That he thinks Eldora would be more like the Port Royal situation like we run, and he just thinks how that place races it races more like Port Royal does. You know what I mean? And and I kind of believe that too by watching it. You know what I mean? It's not the last time I was at Eldor, which I can't tell you how long ago that was.
That's actually what I was about to ask. Yeah,
2008, maybe 2008.
It's definitely changed because Tony's taking it over now.
Yes,
and I've been there. I was up there with my dad for the truck race when they raced up there on the dirt, and it's completely different than what I was.
It don't race the same. It don't race the same way it used to when I was there, where you had to basically be on the wall and wall only. It moves all over the place now, and it shows because you have guys like Logan Schuhart, who's really fast there. They can come from the back and race up through. Shots is always really fast there. So it's a lot more raceable racetrack now than what it used to be, I think, long time ago. So, but yeah, we're going to try to get out to some shows ahead of time and just see where we're at, and hopefully be prepared for when we go out in July.
I'm going to finish off with this, and I asked my grandpa the same thing. Well, I got a couple things, but one thing, and you don't have to answer. He want an answer. I wish he. That's just how he is. In your career, since you've been racing, drivers all the time, they've had people they've enjoyed racing against, not enjoyed racing against, like friendly and not so friendly rivalries. For you, what has been a big rivalry in your career, whether it's friendly or not friendly rivalry?
Well, I would say Ben Fred Raymer.
Okay.
I mean, we grew up. He started a little bit before me in sprint cars, but we basically raced all but 30 years together against each other, and it's been mainly a friendly, respectful rivalry. I mean, we always have everybody has their run-ins. I mean, it don't matter. But the thing that really, when I look at the all-time win list at Williams Grove, the top two guys there.
Yep.
You take away my wins since I've had in Kreitz car.
Is it right at
We've done that against each other.
That's
normally that don't happen that way. Normally it's somebody is 20 years before the other person, and it moves. But me and Fred climbed that ladder together, racing each other hard, and you throw Donald in that mix with his wins, and it's just it's impressive when you look at the Grove win list, and the three of the top guys there all race against each other in that same time frame, basically. So, Fred. I think Fred's the hardest racer I have raced against. I put him against any of the Outlaws any day of the week. There was nobody better than him on starts and restarts. It was his thing. That was his thing.
That kind of goes into my next question. Is that probably the best racer you faced? Or my grandpa said, in his opinion, Larson's the best race car driver he's ever seen. He said hands down, he said he could drive anything. But in a driver's perspective, who have you seen that's impressed you the most?
Well, I mean, to me, Steve Kinsler's still the king of sprint car racing. And some of that is he could drive like Sammy Swindell in one corner and drive like Bobby Allen in the other corner. That was what made him so tough.
Yeah.
Hopefully Larson don't hear this or watch this.
I hope he does watch it.
No, I don't want, because I can't give him credit and have him give him credit. So, he's by far the most talented person I ever seen drive a race car I ever raced against. And all you have to do is just look at what he's done in a late model and anything else he climbs into. There is, up to Larson, Tony Stewart was the most talented, versatile racer I ever seen.
Right.
When Tony comes out and says Larson's better than him. That kind of thing. And the impressive thing about him is you watch him, if you a student of the game or the sport, whatever you want to call it. I sit back and watch all these people drive race cars. I'll stand on top of a trailer, watch guys run heat races, and just see they keep doing the same thing over and over, make the same mistakes over and over, whatever. I mean, Larson's will to win is like nobody's ever seen. And it really shows in the late model more than the sprint car, because he just runs it so much different than anybody else in a late model, and just drives it harder and harder and harder. And he finds that line or that lane that he can do it in, and just starts making mile per hour and speed, and bingo, there he is. He's in the hunt. You know what I mean? And I watched him race down at Golden Owls, Georgia this year. I was down south and he was over racing, so I went over visiting, watch him race, and he just blows me away with how smart he is in a race car and what he does with race cars of different aspects of different racing.
And he's only 30.
Yes.
So that's the crazy thing. He's only 30. He's got tons of career left.
And all he wants to do is race. It's not, he could be sitting back, just showing up at his cup races and, trying to win them and not doing all this other stuff.
I could promise you he enjoys the all the dirt racing and all the smaller stuff way more than he does NASCAR. I can guarantee that.
But it blows him away. Now, don't ask him nothing about race cars. He don't know nothing about race cars. So
he knows how to drive, and that's all really matters in his thing.
And actually nowadays, that's probably, I'm going to say, 80% of the drivers nowadays, they don't, they didn't grow up in the era like I grew up, and definitely your granddad grew up in, but even your dad, he was around it.
Yeah.
The drivers learned to work on race cars, learned to build race cars. There's not too much I can't do on a race car. You know what I mean?
Well, so you look at it now, there's drivers that have never really worked on cars, and they start their career, literally what we were talking about earlier. They've started with iRacing, and they get good at iRacing, like William Byron in NASCAR. That's how he got his opportunity, from being very good at that. I mean, it's worked, and I guess it is a formula that will work now. So it is pretty crazy to see all that.
But by far, Larson is the most talented person I've ever seen.
Well, he can see this. I mean, that'd be cool if he sees this. That'd be fine. His shop's just right down. The NASCAR shop, obviously, right down the road from me.
But that's okay. He's never beat me at golf, so I have that still going on.
There you go. Hey, there's a nice golf course right across from Hendrick too. So I mean, we got some golf courses here.
You got some nice ones down there. So
yeah. I mean, challenge him down here. He should. Well, he's a little busy in November, but he should have come to the World Finals, and then you guys could have either raced or played golf against each other. It's not like it's a far drive for him to go.
No. But we normally try to get together some during we got to play some last year a little bit. It gets a little harder for him now because his schedule.
Yeah, he's a little busy.
A little bit more busy. I don't know why.
Well, he just added a third kid to his family too, so that's a lot. Yeah.
So it's just but I'm sure I'll get a phone call sometime, and he'll be coming in to race, and maybe we'll get to play again. He's got those high limit races coming in our area, so I'm sure I'll get a phone call maybe. So, but
that's are you planning on racing the Grandview one?
They're tentatively on our schedule, but the problem with them is they're right around all of our other big local shows.
Okay.
So I think the one's right before the Grove Nationals, so the odds of that of us running that slim to none. Just because Donald, it wants to be prepared for the Grove National. I think the other one's right after the Outlaws are in here, so that gets a little tougher. I mean, so it's. I'm not saying
that on purpose, so you didn't have to spoil his win.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. He even races them. He hasn't raced a sprint car a whole lot, in last year. So
I think he'll be fine. But the cool thing with high limit, and I even mentioned this before that, literally it was like a day before it came out, somebody posted, it's like, hey, what could make sprint car racing more exciting? I forget which group on Facebook or whatever it was mentioning it, and I was saying, simple enough, why don't we just try the choose cone rule? Choose inside, outside, and just like Legends were doing that for a while on the short tracks, and NASCAR's adopted that. Well, shoot, the next day, high limit's going to do that. They're going to do the choose cone rule. and the I think what is it, the dice roll or something they have, and
Yeah.
you can start back up to in 12th, and you get $1,000 for each position. You and if you end up winning, that's $12,000 on top of what you would win. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I'm for it. I mean, depending on how you feel with your car, if you're already starting on the pole, do you want to risk it? But I mean, I think it's a pretty good idea.
The choose cone deal will be interesting. Like, I'm not opposed to that because I hate double foul restarts. I think they're the dumbest thing they ever done because you can work hard and pass 4 or 5 cars and all of a sudden get put in the wrong lane and lose all the spots you worked hard to race and pass under green. So,
and then this might actually fix that.
Yeah, this would help fix that a little bit. Now, I don't see the guy in second's not going to give up the front row to be behind the leader on a restart. I don't think. The only way that would happen is if it would be a really hard rubber down racetrack.
Yeah.
And at that stage, I hope they're smart enough to realize, okay, we need to be single file. But the dice roll, it has a great sound. It's a good PR thing. I'm telling you right now, other than Larson,
yeah,
most guys ain't going. Most guys not going to give up a front row.
No.
But
if you're starting, no.
You know what I mean?
Probably not. But it also depends on how the track is too.
A lot of it depends on the track.
Like they want to gamble.
Yeah, but let's be realistic. You've been around racing a while.
Yeah, I don't want to give up the front row.
I take the Grove National. Okay, I want it. I started on the front row. Brent Marks, I don't know where he started, made second row. Brent was pretty fast. But you took the top 5 in that race and flipped them starting spots. The odds are I don't win the race, and the odds are the guy that ran 5th might win the race.
And that happens on a lot of tracks. So
the cars are so close and so equal. It's really hard to come from 12th. Now, somebody like Cal will just do it to put a show on for the fans. And I understand that.
Well, and I think for a series that's not really running for anything but just having a lot of fun and having good purses and stuff, why not? Why not try it?
I mean, you could see certain guys try it. But if you're there to win the race, the odds are of you giving that up and going to start 12th, it would have to be you'd have to really think really confident in how the track's going to be, how your car is, the competition level that's up front. I mean, there's so many things that would play a factor into that. I mean, I don't see the average guy doing it. I see Larson doing it just because it's not about the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be about putting the show on for the fans. And I understand that. I don't see, God, I'd name any Macri or Dietrich or anybody else that's there to try to win the race to give up a pole starting spot to start 12 for an extra $12,000.
Yeah,
I does. I'm not. Well, in 12 races, it will shock me if it's done once. And if it's done, I'm going to say it's Larson.
There you go.
As far as starting back like that.
Well, we'll wrap this up in a little bit right now, but I asked my grandpa the same thing. You're a veteran driver and have had a long, successful career, and so he was mentioning that it's it takes up a lot of time, a lot of effort out of your life and everything. What's so prepare for that. So what's one thing that you would one bit of advice that you would give to young racers or people that are aspiring to just race, kind of getting into the career? What do you have to say for those young racers getting into it?
Just work hard at it. It's far from easy. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever done. It's the highs and lows are very high, very down. Try to be level key. That's one thing I pride myself on, and I'm pretty level key. Don't matter if I win or lose. Just because that, I mean, you could be a hero one night and a zero next night, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's just how the racing is, and it's all types of racing like that. And you have to be pretty modest, because if you're cocky and think you're the king shit, racing tends to humble you pretty easily. So
definitely,
you know, respect your people you're racing against. You can race them hard, but show respect to them. And it's going to take a while to learn it, especially sprint car racing. I tell everybody, it is far from easy. It is nothing like nobody else can do. I get people talk to me all the time about moving up. Should they start in 305s, whatever? And I said, well, I'm telling you right now, from a 305 to a 358 or 360 and 360 to 410, there's a huge difference in them. Everything you learn and all this other stuff don't mean nothing when you come to a 410.
Yep.
So it's a hard learning curve, and the only way you do it is just do it. So
and just keep at it.
It's tough. It's tough. It's expensive nowadays, but I mean, I wouldn't change nothing for me. I've enjoyed every bit of the journey I've had so far, and looking to enjoy some more of it yet.
Well, Lance, I appreciate you joining me and hopping on here. Yeah, let's just do a generic exit like I do, like we'll do anyways. So everybody, tune in this season. Lance is going to be racing in a bunch of big races like he always does. Port Royal, with the Outlaws and All Stars coming to town this whole year. Williams Grove. So if you don't know anything about dirt racing, you don't watch sprint car racing, I advise you to check it out. If you don't want to pay for anything right now, check out some highlights on YouTube. You're going to get hooked. Lance, I hope you have a great year. I know you will. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, don't be shy to come down here in November and race.
Well, don't be shy. We'll be at Millbridge with my son racing. Come over to Millbridge.
All right.
We'll be down there March 15th. We'll probably run a good bit of their Wednesday deal. So if you're not working or feel like kind of sneaking out on the job, come on over.
Yeah, don't worry. I can do that. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Lance Dewease.